Photography is the making of pictures by a means of a camera to create images. This art is a form of communication of using visual communication, and it's now taking its place in the century of global convergence and super speed big data transfer. This form of art, that is a career too, and hence is a source of employment. It's taking shape and commanding respect in Kenya and beyond. Photography is favorable in Kenya as we are strategically and geographically perfectly positioned. Well, this week we are to look into the career life of a photographer through the eyes of a seasoned photojournalist, Billy MUTAI. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, you must build yourself. You must build your brand. You must build your passion, and you must be the best in what you do. When you settle it, press photography, you die hard and do your best. If it's commercial photography, you do your best. If it's travel and whichever photography, all kinds of photography, sports photography, you must do your best. So that when, say, World Cup comes and they need a photographer to travel to wherever World Cup is happening, it must be you. If it's politics and you are the best news photographer, they must send you. If it's say wildlife or National Geographic they want a photographer in Kenya, that should be you. If you are a wedding photographer in Kenya, that should be you. That's the thing. If you don't, you brand yourself. You give yourself an edge, and you must define your taste of photography. People should know you. If it's news photography, there are several news photographers, but what is your best approach? People should know you. You define your edge and your niche so that people know that.
Billy MUTAI is a freelance news and documentary photographer. His interest is in climate change, ethnicity, human rights, religion and conflict, and around these subjects he's covered high demanding photography assignments. Among them are the terror attacks in Nairobi and northern Kenya, Kenyan politics, Ban Ki-moon visits to Kenya, the university riots, the Thika Road blast, Tula oil exploration, and he's narrated the occurrences of the small-scale entrepreneurs, slum flood in Mathare, and the Dandora dump site, among many other assignments, and all this are said through the eyes of the camera lens.
I'm very excited about what we have lined up for you guys. So before we go any further, let's first of all have you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what exactly you do.
I am Billy MUTAI, currently a freelance photographer based in Nairobi. I've earlier worked in mainstream media houses, but at the moment I'm doing freelance work. That's basically what I do at the moment.
So for how long have you been in this field of photography?
It's about a decade now. It's
a very long time.
Yeah, it's roughly 8 years. No, eight and a half actually. Active practice in the industry. Yeah.
It's very important for people to understand what exactly photography is about before now we get into the details of the different kinds of photography that you have. So according to you, what would you define photography as?
Maybe I could begin with first for the journalism or general photography, and then maybe narrow down to for the journalism and mention other kinds of photography. Yeah. Photography is art of taking pictures. Photo is use light to take pictures. Of course, you can do drawings to get pictures, but photography is using equipment that use light to capture images. you come down to kinds of photography, we have several kinds of photography, including for the journalism, press photography. You have wildlife photography, street photography, portraits. There's under family photography. You have weddings and so forth. Also, there's sports photography. What else? Travel photography, of course. Yeah. So those are kinds of photography where people can venture in. Under that, there's professional. An umbrella is professional photographers and the amateur photographers. Anybody can take a picture. You're still a photographer, but you're amateur. But when you become a professional photographers, they earn a living by taking pictures. So whichever group you fall under, if you are your daily business to take pictures, you master the art of photography, you become a professional. That's by either going to school or going to a training in photography. That's when you qualify to be a professional photographer. So all that kind of photography, whichever test of pictures or whichever kind of pictures you love taking, it falls either under amateur or professional photography. Yeah.
We need to know, where did you eventually begin, the whole journey into being a photographer for almost a decade. So probably from high school. Tell us about your high school education. Yes, probably what high school you went to, and now about the subjects that you are learning in high school.
Photography, just like any other kind of art, is drawn from passion. It's passion is inborn, is it? It just comes, but you have to mold that passion to be so that it's part of your life. Mine, back then in primary school, I schooled at it's Cabinet Primary School, and later went to an academy back home in Kericho. That's where I thought I developed interest for pictures. I used to love my father. He used to come with newspapers, especially he loved Daily Nation newspaper. He used to come with copies whenever he was working. He used to come with newspapers home. So I used to peruse them and admire how these pictures are taken. It has a news value and very interesting pictures. Back then when I was young, of course, there are entertainment pictures. I used to go through them, read captions, and wonder how these people do this. So that developed in me. Towards when I was about to clear my primary school, my father bought a family camera, and I was the photographer in the family. So it was a film camera by the way. That was early 2000s, or early 2000 and late 90s, 99 towards. So that's when I held my family camera, a film camera. So that's why I used to take pictures of family, and I used to do small captions. Captions are words describing a picture.
Yes.
Say a family picture, you say this is my dad dash dash, and with who, where, what was the function during a family function. That just a small description of a picture. So that's what I used to do earlier. Now in high school, I used to save a little pocket money to buy my own camera, a Yashica. I bought a Yashica camera. That was a good camera then. Still a film camera. The few digital camera were just coming in, but they were pretty expensive. Yeah. So I saved a little amount to buy a good camera, and that was in around Form 3 at Kericho T High School. That's where I schooled. Then I used to take pictures of my colleagues just for commercial purpose. Snap pictures of friends, classmates, schoolmates, and they used to love them. I developed the art of, of course I learned. There was no Google then to go check settings of how to set your camera. But I had a friend who was also a photographer, a senior photographer. He was also a student. He taught me how to take pictures, and quickly I learned. Of course, I had learned with the small camera my father had. So I all over did pictures of friends, colleagues in high school, sell them with some few coins. It was exciting. I was not so much about the money, but of course it was keeping me in school, and I was being given pocket money. But it was not so much of the money. It was the excitement of taking pictures of people, action pictures during sports, during high school events, even during the school ceremonies. At least I was the only one with my other colleague given opportunity to own a camera in school.
And now moving on to, now you've finished high school, you're going into campus. What campus did you go to, and what course did you eventually pursue? Sorry.
Moving back to the university now, of course you now go make your career. You do you choose a career that will keep you around, and you take care of family and society in future. I thought earlier I would do things around business, agribusiness, because I Form 1, Form 2 I did agriculture, and I thought I would pursue something around agriculture or business. There's a course called agribusiness, so that you become an entrepreneur, agriculture practitioner. I thought I would fit there because my father comes from that background. He's a businessman, and he does agriculture. So I thought I would go there, but eventually I went to university and then changed things to fit still my photography thing. You know, passion. I didn't have good guidance that photography is actually a profession that you can pursue. I thought it was just like it was a by the way, just a hobby, a by the way. It's not a straight profession where you can go and study and pursue and earn living. So I thought I would do another career and maybe think about this other photography thing later. So I applied for agribusiness when we were applying for university courses, agribusiness and BCom. And some few other. I didn't even apply for media communication, but I was actually called at Egerton University to pursue Bachelor of Commerce. But when I went there, I saw there was BCom, and I saw there was a coursework in media. I had not been familiarized much about media, so I saw there. I went through the coursework. I saw studying photography, studying video, TV production, public relation, and all that. And I recall that this is the thing I thought I've been practicing, and I thought I would love. I went back and consulted. I consulted widely before I switched courses, and luckily, my father told me a story about a renowned photojournalist in Kenya. He died in a plane crash. He's called Mohammed Amin. Mohammed Amin is a renowned photojournalist who did vast work in photography, videography. He was a frontline photographer. He went to war zones, and he did massive work in documenting famine in Africa, especially Horn of Africa. So he told me that story, and it inspired me. He even he was hit by a landmine in one of his shots. I suppose in Ethiopia, and eventually died when he was coming back from Ethiopia. He was on a business trip. So that story, Amin's story, inspired me. When I went back to university, I definitely switched off to communication media, where I would pursue photography as my passion, to follow my passion. So I was running away from my passion, but I eventually came back. So straight on, I settled and pursued. It's actually Bachelor of Arts in Communication and Media. Yes. So you either do media or public relations. You specialize once you're in third year. So you pursue your line of interest. So I did the communication media. Still, communication media is so wide. You do TV production, you do news anchoring, you do print journalism, you do photography, of course, and several other things. But I still stuck to photography.
What would you say is your best memory from campus?
My most exciting moment is when I bought a digital camera. That I longed for to own one. I bought it at 15,000. Of course, I saved money and borrowed again to buy a cybershot camera. It's a Sony cybershot, a small camera, but at this time it was a digital camera. You could take pictures, plug them into computer and do some processing. Either you do a magazine or such a thing. That was my most exciting moment. That came. There was a time we did. There was a demonstration at the university. I did a one-page printout of pictures showing demonstrations with police. Of course, they saw me with a camera. They didn't touch me. I was tracking them. So that was although it was dangerous. You know, they were throwing tear gas to students, rubber bullets. Yeah, but I was lucky. I jumped into where professional photographers, professional journalists, of course, they came to cover riots at the university. So I jumped to where they were, and I was among the journalists. So it was so exciting to be among the journalists, not with the students who are rioting. Of course, I was a student. I should have been on the other end, but I was here covering them. That was so exciting. I did a two-page on A4 two-page pictorial. It's actually a pictorial of what and placed it on the newspaper and disappeared. People also kept looking at the pictures, although it was a bit dangerous for me. But journalism is you take the risk. You take the risk.
You don't take a photograph, you make it. Ansel Adams.